How's it going? We're back. A few months later than expected, but you know, I had things to do, didn't I? Like repaint my new studio. We're back in business, and we've got white walls now, no flowers or anything. And yeah, I got a new monitor, new TV, new computer. Very nice time. It's not important. That's not what we're here for. Today on we explore this beautiful, my second favorite. I have a favorite. My second favorite Gibson Trini Lopez ES335 in cherry red. So let's get on with it, shall we? The Trini Lopez guitar is the signature model of the Mexican-American performer Trini Lopez. I'm really burpy from how quickly I drank that tea. Very sorry about that. But yeah, this is his signature guitar. Basically a 335 with a few differences. Those differences being the diamond holes here instead of the F holes up here. The trapeze tailpiece, which was featured on a 335, but we know them more now for the stock tailpiece. And it's got the Firebird headstock, which is super cool. And it's got the diamond inlays as well. To me, this is just the coolest hollow body guitar that Gibson have ever done. I really love it, especially with the thinner ears up here and the diamond holes and the diamond inlays and the Firebird headstock. Just makes it look so cool. And it's definitely a head turner. People are expecting the regular 335, but when they see that huge long headstock, they're like, what is he playing? It's really cool. Why did Trini decide to go for the 6 in the way headstock instead of the standard 3x3? Because it makes this sound. That's not why he chose it. He chose it because he was playing Fenders at the time. And when Gibson picked him up after he started doing more records with Frank Sinatra, they were like, hey, can we make you a guitar? And he says, yeah. He was playing a Bernie Kessel at the time. He asked that he could have the 6 in a way headstock, which was super cool. You see that on the early Trini Lopez deluxe guitars, which was their like higher end model, heavily inspired by the Bernie Kessel. You really see just how Fender-esque that headstock is. It's a lot smaller, but then they decided just to use a Firebird headstock. But it's super cool. I really love this. But that's enough about that. You can look more into that. There's a really cool video in the description if you want to check out more about Trini Lopez and his history and how this guitar came to be, a bit more about that. But let's go specifically into this one. This one's a 2014 model. You can tell that because the little sticker on the inside, but also because it's not got any binding on the diamond holes. The Trini Lopez 2014 model isn't like a reissue or anything. It's its own thing. A few years in the early 2000s the late 2000s and the early 2010s, they were bringing out limited runs of Trini Lopez guitars with slight changes. You see one from 2009 and they've got the stop tailpiece. It's essentially a Dave Grohl guitar, but it's not quite, because it is the Trini Lopez. But this here is pretty accurate. I ended up playing one in Denmark Street in October of last year in 6060 Sounds. Thank you very much for those guys for getting it down for me. I was just looking up there like, oh my god, I can't believe they have one in. And they were so cool to let me play it. That was awesome of them. Really appreciate it. I got to play an original one, which was great. 1966 that one was. And the differences between this guitar and that one are only a few differences. The neck profile obviously is different. They shave the bottom of the neck differently. In the 60s guitars you see they come a bit squarer, whereas this is like dead round. It's really nice. Also, this truss rod cover here has like a 2-ply. It's white and black, whereas the original one was just black and it was 1-ply and it was really weak. And it was actually bowing like that. You could see it raise, which was super cool. But it has the same silkscreen logo, and the die on the back is very accurate to what they did for the originals. And back in the 60s, it's much darker than the back here, and very porous as well. I think they were using Indiana line dies, which they do in the custom shops too. This is Memphis made, by the way. And yeah, the only other difference is that it had, or PAFs in, had the patent number PAFs in, and it had the longer pick guard. The pick guard came down to here. But that's it really, that's the only difference. And the binding on the inside obviously. But yeah, you see these between 1964 and 1970 for the original runs, but they do come back out. They're really, really awesome guitars. I love the way that they are. They're fantastic. So, the story of how I got this guitar. I got it back in January off of my friend Ash Tucker. And he's been like back and forth of whether or not he would sell it or not. I ended up seeing this first in a music shop before I even met Ash. He had it up in a music shop close to him. And it was in there for a while and it wasn't moving. But he wasn't too sure on selling it anyway. But I ended up going in there and playing it. And the people in the store were really kind of rude to me because obviously I look like a kid. And they're like, oh, I'll come back when you're more serious. Bearing in mind I'm a student with a maintenance loan with a huge taste for guitars, that was kind of silly of them. Because I really, really wanted this guitar. I was dead serious about buying it. I didn't have the money then, but they were like, oh, you haven't got the money ever. So no, they didn't say that. But yeah, it was kind of rude. And I'm playing this and I'm thinking this is awesome, this is really cool. And they're like hanging over me. And as soon as I like take a break from actually playing and just taking a look at it, they just take it away. I'm like, oh, okay, well, nice one. Hope to never spend money with you. But yeah. And then I found out that this was Ash's guitar. And I'd met Ash after this point, and he'd hosted the jam night with me a few times, and he told me about his guitar, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't know you owned it. And it was out of the shop, and he finally decides, no, I think I will sell it. So he offers it to me, and I'm like, yep, I'll do that, like, right now. And then he brought it over to me, and it was just awesome. It was a holy day. It was really, really, really good. Ash is the guy who's been on the show before with the red custom-built Telecaster. He's also the host of the Year of No Gear podcast. This is actually in the thumbnail. I mean, it's clickbait. Look at that. That is like some nice material right there. Everyone wants to see this guitar. So I gotta show it to everyone, because Ash can't do it anymore. But yeah, it was great. When I got it, he brought it over in the case with like the manual and everything. Made me a receipt. It was super cool. I use this all the time on my recordings. It's all over my EP with Hoster, out now, boom, boom, boom. I use it on Around the Sun for the and the jangly chords because it's a hollow body and it's perfect for that. And I use it for Harold. It's like the pad guitar behind the Strat that I'm using. I sold that Strat, by the way. So maybe I can do a what was that then? Like a backwards episode maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it's also used in my lockdown set with the band, with Hoster. You'll see this in Our Times Like These cover. Obviously I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan. I'm not going to hide it. I mean, I'm using one of their guitars, gosh darn it. But yeah, I use this guitar all the time for recording. It just sounds so good. I use it for gigging as well with my own band. And I truly adore this guitar. I'm really, really thankful that Ash sold it to me. I love it to bits. It's so super cool. This is my number 2 guitar with my 59. They're kind of like two in the same because they're so good and they inspire me so well, and they're built beautifully. I love it. They're great. Another thing I found pretty cool was that both of these guitars have a similar birthmark. On the 18th fret of this guitar, there's a little seepage of glue, maybe from the fret or from the binding or from the actual board underneath. Maybe that's just a big pore. And on the 19th fret of this guitar, you got exactly the same mark. It's like they were made for each other, which is awesome. I love that. That's so super cool. This guitar does have a couple like light dings in the binding, a few impressions on the back as well, but it's basically mint condition. Also, the strap buttons have been changed. But it has a nylon nut, 6 in a row, cloisons on one plate, which is super, super classy, super cool, just like the originals, which I love. And it has the burst buckers in there, which is the same ones that Dave Grohl uses in his signature, which is pretty cool. And it's got the ABL one as well with the Trini Lopez plaque, which is just awesome. The only modification I've made to this is this little Velcro strap thing here to mute these strings, because it's a big body and it's on a metal contact piece from the bridge and from the actual saddle itself. So if I take that out for you, you'll hear what it sounds like. It's a pretty noticeable sound. Let me get this closer for you so you can hear this. Ready? How much that? I like to keep this on that end of the strings. It's not so bad from the headstock, but I can't chug like I want to with this unmuted, because it's pretty noticeable. The other great thing about this guitar live is it's a semi-hollow body. So it's got a big old bit of mahogany in the middle, but it's got the two wings. And that's great, because when I bring my Marshall or my Fender, I can usually just turn around and go. And I don't keep my amps that loud. I'm not that kind of guy. I try not to be, at least. The Marshall, it's a bit harder for me to do because it's a 2x12 cab and I'm just not used to it. But yeah, with my Fenders I can kind of manage it a bit better because I know how to use them a bit better. But this guitar just feeds back beautifully. Like, I just hold a chord and then all the weird, strong, dissonant notes will come out of it, and it's just like, I love this. This is the coolest thing ever. So good. It's amazing. And also, you can yell into it like I did here. Pretty cool, right? But yeah, that is the story all about how I got my Trini Lopez. I can't rhyme with that. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the playing demos and the B-roll. I had a really good time shooting it. And yeah, thank you very much.